Why are some of Abu Dhabi's wealthiest buyers committing 30 to 40 million dirhams into Hudayriyat golf estates? Because on the surface, it might not make complete sense. Because the golf course is still being developed, large portions of the island are still under construction, the secondary market is still in its infancy. And yet, some of the strongest buyers in the market are continuing to position themselves here. What's interesting is that they are doing so despite having access to almost every luxury community in the UAE: Saadiyat, Dubai Hills, Jumeirah Golf Estates, Emirates Hills, Palm Jumeirah. So the question is, why capital is finding its way here? Now, part of that answer starts with pricing, because the 6-bedroom golf-facing Fairway villa are currently sitting at 2,700 dirhams per square foot, compared to around 3,300 dirhams on Saadiyat Beach, 3,500 dirhams per square foot in Jumeirah Golf Estates, and closer to AED 4,000 in Dubai Hills. So that's a meaningful gap in pricing, which naturally raises the question, is Hudayriyat being undervalued, or is the market correctly pricing the risks associated with a master plan that is still being built? But that's not the entire story. To be able to fully understand the picture, we need to look beyond the villas themselves and understand what is actually being created on Hudayriyat Island. Because unlike many golf course offerings in the UAE, whether it be Jumeirah Golf Estates or Dubai Hills, this is not a standalone community. This instead is a 51 million square meter island master plan. For a perspective, that's roughly 1/3 the size of Abu Dhabi itself. And unlike many of the other residential developments, the vision here would extend far beyond the housing and the boundaries of a typical community. With Hudayriyat Golf Estates, you have the UAE's first large-scale island golf estate master plan, all under a sovereign-backed developer. But what makes it interesting is that golf is not the centerpiece of the master plan. It's actually just one component. The broader vision revolves around wellness, sport, recreation, and lifestyle. The golf course sits within a much larger ecosystem that's designed to attract true end users to the island. The 18-hole championship golf course happens to be just one part of the story. You also have Surf Abu Dhabi, already operational and home to the world's largest wave facility. The Velodrome, set to become one of the region's most significant cycling destinations. The Sports Village in 321 Sports, consisting of an expansive offering of sporting facilities. Waterfront Equestrian Club, that would also be extending onto the water itself. 16 kilometers of blue flag beaches, with some of the cleanest water available across the UAE. Future hospitality and marina districts, along with the highest caliber of fine dining and retail establishments. A hilltop elevated cycling and walking track that loops around parts of the island. A future arena on scale comparable to Etihad Arena. Top-of-the-line schools, healthcare facilities, and retail establishments. So Hudayriyat Golf Estate is not simply a villa community. It's an entirely new district being added into Abu Dhabi. And that distinction is quite important, because when luxury communities outperform over longer periods of time, it's rarely because of the houses themselves. It's because the surrounding ecosystem becomes increasingly desirable. Better amenities, better infrastructure, better schools, better lifestyle, more reasons for people to live there, and ultimately, more competition for a limited amount of real estate. Now let's zoom out even further, because Hudayriyat only works if Abu Dhabi continues to work. Over the last decade, Abu Dhabi has undergone a significant transformation. ADGM continues attracting financial institutions, hedge funds, family offices, and global businesses, with growth having increased substantially over the past 2 years. Major sovereign wealth entities continue expanding their global footprint from Abu Dhabi. Artificial intelligence, advanced technology, and digital infrastructure are becoming increasingly important pillars of the Abu Dhabi economy. Tourism continues to expand and population continues to grow at an unprecedented rate. In fact, of late, Abu Dhabi is attracting residents who may have previously have only considered Dubai. And that matters, because ultimately real estate values follow the economic activity. And the stronger the Abu Dhabi city becomes, the greater the demand for premium residential locations, just like Hudayriyat Golf Estates. Even historically, some of the strongest performing areas in Abu Dhabi have been locations where buyers understood the long-term vision before it became obvious to the wider market. Saadiyat Island is probably the best example. Today, the value proposition is easier to understand. The Louvre, the cultural district, the schools, the hospitality, the beaches. But early buyers weren't purchasing the finished version of Saadiyat. They were buying into the future vision of Saadiyat. Now, Hudayriyat presents a similar discussion. It's not the same product, but it poses a similar question in asking what does this island look like once the broader master plan is delivered. Now let's come back to the Fairway villas, because within every master plan there are stronger and weaker assets. Not every townhouse or villa performs equally, which is where the Fairway villas become particularly interesting. The 6-bedroom villa sits at approximately AED 26.5 million, just under 10,000 square feet of built-up area, with plots ranging between roughly 14,000 to 17,000 square feet. Direct golf frontage with immediate access to the clubhouse and immediate proximity to the wider island amenities along with the beaches. Even some of the most established communities within Dubai, like Dubai Hills Estate or Jumeirah Golf Estates, with extremely strong community integration, will still fall short of what this 51 million square meter master plan of Hudayriyat has to offer. Dubai Hills is mature. Jumeirah Golf Estates is mature. Hudayriyat most definitely is not. The golf course still has to establish itself. The secondary market still has to develop. The entire island still has to mature. Those risks are real, but they are also the reason the pricing sits where it does today. Now, another important factor to consider as part of the island growth is the connectivity. Today, one of the most common criticisms of Hudayriyat is accessibility, and that is a fair concern. However, future plans include multiple additional tunnels and connections integrating the island more deeply into Abu Dhabi. A total of 8 links expected to significantly reduce travel times to approximately 10 minutes to the likes of Abu Dhabi Corniche, the airport, and even key islands on the northern end of the capital, including the financial district. Once those plans materialize, accessibility becomes a very different discussion, because accessibility has historically been one of the strongest drivers of value creation in real estate. Which brings us back to the original question: why are sophisticated buyers allocating 30 to 40 million dirhams into Hudayriyat? The answer is that many of them are not just buying a villa, they're buying into the island, they're buying into the master plan, they're buying into where they believe Abu Dhabi will be 10 years from now. Because if Abu Dhabi continues attracting capital, businesses, talents, and residents at its current pace, premium locations start to benefit disproportionately, and Hudayriyat is positioning itself to be one of those locations. Now that is where the Fairway villas become particularly interesting. Well thought out expansive layouts in the strongest island master plan of the country. Taken a level further with the elevated 6-bedroom mansions with both a golf frontage and a canal view, making it a dual view asset that simply has no other comparables available across the emirate. A built up of 12,500 square feet at 35 million at a price per square foot of just 82,800 dirhams. Now, if you're actively considering Hudayriyat and would like to discuss the Fairway villas or mansions in greater depth, feel free to reach out. There are only a handful of positions within the development that I believe truly stand out, and I'd be happy to share my perspective.